Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. We are going beyond Bitcoin's dip today. That's right, guys. On Christmas Eve, we're going to try to make some people smile, think about the future a little bit, right? Maybe some hopium, maybe it's copium. The more I think about it, it kind of seems like they're both the same thing. Anyways, some stuff that we're going to take a look at today. We're going to take a look at some news out of Hong Kong. We're going to take a look at the Bitcoin gold connection. Nobody seems to be liking this one lately. Bitcoin and the business cycle. That's right. There's a relationship there. Interesting. Very interesting. We're going to look at some Bitcoin merchant adoption, Russia's Bitcoin proposal. You know the deal. We're going to dive into that and actually get some real accurate information out of it, not just Russia loves Bitcoin. And I figured I would take a trip down memory lane, take a look at some cool stuff. And there is an awesome little essentially it's I don't know. I wouldn't even say it's an app, right? It's more just like a website. But anyways, look, it's a product called Manchikura, and it allows Bitcoiners to send Bitcoin between some of the simplest cell phones that you can have. It's very useful for third world countries, and we're just going to remind people that, hey, you can use that, right? Bitcoin adoption is alive and well, but before we dive into all the fun stuff, you know the deal. We're going to give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor, and we're going to be right back to dive into all the sauce. Let's frickin' go. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. All right. I don't like that one. Okay, yeah. We're gonna kick it off. Merry Christmas, BTC Moon Guy. Merry Christmas, only Bitcoin T4X. Merry Christmas, guys. And of course, to everybody else on Twitter and YouTube, Merry Christmas, guys. Not everybody's in the chat. So just some zoom out here, very quick, documenting BTC, put out this nice little post of Bitcoin price on Christmas Eve. Hey, look, when you go back to, obviously 2008, $0. Is that really a win? Is it? I don't think so. Anyways, but look, 2010, right? 25 cents, 2011. So look, this could be served to, dig the knife in a little deeper and make you feel bad that you didn't know about Bitcoin, or you did and you ignored it back then. Sure. Maybe even it makes us feel a little bit bad that we could see that in 2024, we were at 94K average price, right? 94K that day. And today we're sitting at 87.1. To me, that's flat-ish, right? Of course, you want to be more specific. You can say it's down a specific number of percent. But however, in the grand scheme of things, and with Bitcoin being the finite asset that it is, that is just going to absorb as much global liquidity as it can, I mean, come on, 7K off. It's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Anyways, just some perspective. But look, the clear trend is obviously up and to the right. That's what it is. So we can be happy about that. We could be very pleased about that. All right. Let's dive into our stories. That's right. A little more zooming out, a little more perspective to keep people from freaking out before they have to possibly go to their families and explain why they were telling their uncle or their aunt that they should be buying at 126 because it's definitely going to 240 this cycle, or 440 something, or 475, or whatever magic number some hopium dealer told you about. Well, here you go. You can show up on Christmas Eve and, from Thanksgiving and tell them this. The low for Bitcoin was 38K last year at this time, right? So BTC is up over 128%. Yay. It's the Wojak meme, right? It is definitely the Wojak meme, right? This guy. It's this guy. I'm up 128%. Yeah, indeed we are. Anyways, all right. Let's continue on. So, right? Don't look at the all-time highs. Look at the yearly lows. So look, this is copium, right? This is pure cope, and it's okay. I'm okay with that because sometimes, right? Sometimes we just need to cope, and unfortunately, depending on your perspective, this is one of those times you have to cope. Personally, I don't feel like I'm coping, but that's just because I've been here for a while and all of these songs sound the same. So, it's just, there we go. We're going to stack bad news, make Bitcoin go down. Good news, make Bitcoin sell off. It's okay. It's okay. Just a caveman counting leaves. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right. Yeah, and we're in trouble, guys, when I've got to bring up some pomp stuff to give us hope. We're in trouble. Anyway, so here we go from TFTC. The pomp says traditional exchanges are preparing to launch spot Bitcoin trading. Everyone is going to meet in the middle. All right, let's take a look at this clip here from Pomp.
Starting to see now the traditional exchanges and the traditional financial players. Larry Fink recently said that artificial intelligence and tokenization are the two big themes of finance going forward. Right. So what's going to happen here is everyone is going to meet in the middle. They're all coming from different areas, but ultimately they are all fighting for who is going to live at the center of artificial intelligence, crypto, and ultimately these everything exchanges where people can trade whatever they want, whenever they want, 24/7. And so I think that the key for public market investors is trying to figure out who's going to get there first and who actually has the most durable business. Now, Coinbase has somewhat of an advantage. They have 100+ million users, and they've come at it from a crypto-friendly standpoint. Many of these technologies are using that crypto plumbing, and so having kind of a head start in the crypto side is going to be a big advantage. But I would not discount the traditional players. These people have a lot of money. They're very ambitious, and they understand the regulatory apparatus. And so you're going to have this kind of cutthroat competition. And ultimately, the winner is the individual investor or the individual citizen, because they're going to get lower prices, faster, market access, and ultimately better pricing on these different opportunities.
Okay, yeah, I know. It's I love the framing of ultimately the consumer wins. I don't know if I necessarily buy the whole entire the consumer wins, but I will say this: it is an absolutely massive bubble that we are building. You call it whatever you want, right? Call it whatever you want. Maybe it's not a bubble, whatever it is, a trend. I don't care. But the reality is that all of these players, I've said this in the past multiple times, right? These companies, right? The BlackRocks, the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, on and on we go. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing and infrastructure, getting ready, right? Getting ready for all of these new customers with all of these fun new products, right? Make no mistake. It is going to be a fleecing on a level that we have never seen. And look, the market exuberance, because we haven't seen it yet. I remember the feeling in 2017. The feeling in 2017, it was real. It was out there. Now, granted, I'm not saying that the actual market activity was real. I'm talking about the feeling, right? That feeling that almost everyone that you spoke to, it didn't matter what you were into, everything was going up. Everything was full of hope, and everything was about the future and how the future is about to explode right here and now. We don't have that this time. We don't have that at all. But one thing we do have is we've got these institutions building all of this up. So, and again, I'm not cheering this on. I'm just saying this is what I believe is going to happen. And we're going to find out, right? We are going to find out. But make no mistake, to a certain extent, pomp is correct. And these guys are all going to battle it out. And I got to tell you, I don't have very much hope for the Coinbases of the world and all of these smaller players, unless it's like, Peter Thiel's bullish exchange, right? Because nobody's fucking with Peter Thiel. Let's be honest. And even if that goes down, it doesn't make a difference, right? Peter Thiel can lose $50 million. It's a drop in the bucket. The guy's worth billions. It doesn't make a difference. The whole reason I'm explaining this is because I do believe that we will inevitably see an event, right? A totally organic, right? Unforeseen. Couldn't have predicted it. And that event is going to cause massive consolidation, as has happened in every single freaking other industry. And the winners are going to be picked, and so are the losers. So just be prepared for that. Don't be surprised by it, and enjoy the show, right? And of course, if you have Bitcoin in self-custody, you just get to enjoy the show, right? You don't have to deal with any of the other stuff. Hey, French Huddle, Merry effing Christmas. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's continue on. We've got more. Oh, there's so much more. Yep, that's right. Crypto jelly. Sentiment is in the gutter with key levels holding. Nice layout. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Sometimes I try to change it. Anyways. All right. I've seen this movie before. Yes, indeed, Jelly. We have seen this movie before. Now, essentially, okay, if you guys can't see what it actually says on the screen, it says silly chop to form a bottom, right? That's what it says over here next to each and every one of these. Silly chop to form a bottom, silly chop to form a bottom. And here we are, guys, where we are now sitting at, like, what is it? I don't even know. I'm going to go take a look. So you got to pull up the charts for this stuff. 87.4. 87.4. Are we forming the bottom, or is this the 10K of 2018? And the reason I say this is because if it is the 10K of 2018, and I'm not trying to introduce any kind of doubt, but I got to check my own hopium. But if this is the 10K of 2018, I'm not excited for what comes next, because a whole bunch of people said 10K was the floor. And of course, none of these people will admit to this now, but back then, from the rooftops, guys, from the rooftops, 10K was the floor. Never going to go below that 10K. Guess what? We went to 6K. And then guess what? We went to 3,500. Please, God, don't let this be our 10K moment. Anyways. All right. So Sminston. Anyways, Plan C, I think the account has been shilling this guy's account a whole lot. Anyways, he puts out some good charts, puts out some good analysis. And this is essentially Bitcoin's correlation to the business cycle. And as you can see here, right, the orange squiggly line is Bitcoin, and that kind of greenish turquoise, depends on your eyes, ISM, right, the business cycle. It's the green line down here. And so look, the initial claim, right, is that it's probably nothing. And his initial claim essentially is that Bitcoin doesn't have a 4-year cycle. It is entirely tied, or mostly tied, to the business cycle. Not a 4-year cycle, but to the overall business cycle. I can see some correlation. However, I do not see this correlation in 2013 to 2015. And then the correlation is, it's heavily skewed between 2013 and 2015. And then again, from 2017 to 2019, it seems to be right on. So, and then if you look at 2020, it's totally skewed. So, got to take that with a grain of salt, right? We appreciate the data points. We appreciate the hindsight. Grain of salt. Yeah. All right. So, another account that puts out some solid charting data. APSK32. The BTC gold power curve breaking down has left a wound. Yes, a whole lot of Bitcoiners are really upset that they can't yell at the gold bugs and tell them, right, on this cherry-picked timeline that we're winning, right? Because for Bitcoin, apparently you have to win on every single timeline at every second of the day. Otherwise, there's something wrong, apparently. So, the BTC USD power curve is still okay, but I expected better relative performance. Yeah, me too. I'm not that interested in the USD value of Bitcoin. What's more important is its purchasing power in 2025. Change that trajectory. Now, some people would argue that that we pivoted away from the USD from the Bitcoin gold chart, let me rephrase that. That we started to focus more on the Bitcoin gold chart because of the divergence. And of course, right, all of a sudden the narrative changed to, well, Bitcoin's going to follow right after. And here we've got a whole bunch of data to show that. So yeah. Hey, Rhino Bitcoin. Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's been such a crazy year. It's been such an insane year. I don't think I had any of the stuff on the bingo card that we actually went through. And I definitely did not expect us to be sitting here in the last 2 weeks of, the year discussing how quantum is going to destroy Bitcoin. I mean, I figured we would at least wait for the next cycle or something. I thought that we had enough with everything that happened this cycle, or this particular bull run, which arguably from some people can say it's been muted. Some people could say it's been muted. I even came to that conclusion after looking at the average price of Bitcoin in 2024 and realizing that we've just been flat for the whole year, which to me indicates a serious level of support. But an expert I am not. And even if I was, apparently we've seen the experts don't know what they're talking about anyways. So maybe I am an expert. All right. So look, if we take a look at that power curve law, right, for the Bitcoin versus gold, okay, like you might be saying to yourself, well, Phil, I mean, this looks fine. It's just up and to the right. Indeed, I totally agree. It is. But what you may not see is all the way at the end, right? All the way at the end, you can see the Bitcoin price is dropping off under the curve. And this is seemingly only happened like once before, So. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah. Only BTC. What did I say? I'm sure you had the BTC strategic reserve. Yeah. No. Okay. So fine. I did. I did. But a whole bunch of other things I did not. And that's okay. It's funny. I appreciate that though. Appreciate you keeping me honest. Remembering what I'm forgetting. All right. Here we go. More Bitcoin versus gold hopium, guys. It's okay. It's catching up. It's not over yet. We're almost there. Okay. It's happening. And don't forget, we have this massive options expiry that's happening on Boxing Day, December 26th. Okay? It's going to be huge. Millions of dollars in Bitcoin options expiring. And according to the hopium dealers, 118 is the magnet, and we're just going straight from wherever we are. We're teleporting to 118, which is still not a new all-time high. I know we're supposed to be excited, but no, I don't care. Everything is relative. We already saw 126. You're not going to impress me with your 118. Interestingly enough, though, I'm really impressed that we're holding the levels we are now. I told you guys that this was such a difficult episode because I had to pomp is a source for two things, right? Pomp is helping us cope, and now again, pomp is helping us cope. Phil the chartist. Yeah. I wouldn't trust my own charts though. I'm terrible at drawing lines. I don't see patterns. I see other people's patterns. I'm like, damn. I should have seen that. Should have made sense. Okay. Anyways, let's see what Pomp had to say over here, right? Because Bitcoin didn't hit the 150 or the 200K, and people. That's right, guys. People mad.
A bump in the road on the way to some of those numbers, right? Took a wrong turn at Albuquerque or something. You point out what, it's up 100% in 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that there are a lot of Bitcoin investors that are disappointed that Bitcoin did not go to 150, 200, 250. I mean, take your crazy number that people were predicting. At the same time.
No, it's not a crazy number, okay? I know, I sound bitter, but it's not a crazy number. 150 to 200K for a finite asset with the qualities that Bitcoin has, right? The unfuckwithable money that governments hate. Banks hate. Okay? They hate this stuff. No, 150 to 200 is nothing. Okay? And I am going to side with the angry Chihuahua on this one and say that the Bitcoin treasury companies stole our fucking bull run. I mean, there's nothing I can do, right? But I do somewhat believe that. They tempered the price. Yeah, I'm definitely mad, Bitcoin Moon guy. I'm definitely mad.
And we have to remember, Bitcoin is up 100% in 2 years. It's up almost 300% in
Oh, there's some cope. Don't be mad. Just take your cope.
3 years. It has been compounding. The compound annual growth rate of Bitcoin over the last decade is 70%. This thing has been a monster in financial markets, but it has volatility. And so one of the aspects of Bitcoin that people aren't talking about is that the volatility of Bitcoin has actually been coming down. And so we didn't get a blow off top that I think people expected in kind of the end of Q3 or beginning of Q4. But we also haven't seen the big 80% drawdown that people normally expect as well. Now, who knows what's going to happen in the future? You could see the Bitcoin price go down a little bit more, or you could see it turn around and start to kind of grind up going into the midterm.
Could you see it go down a lot more? You said a little bit more.
You could, but I think given where the volatility is right now, it would be very surprising that Bitcoin's volatility has drastically compressed, and yet still you could.
Okay, that's just a whole bunch of cope. He doesn't know. I don't know. You know, that whole thing about Bitcoin not going down 80 to 90%, right? Like that's something we're supposed to be excited about. And I get it, right? If you've been hodling Bitcoin for several years, you know, like yeah, obviously, like I don't want to see Bitcoin drop 80%, 90%, because I've been accumulating this whole time. I've been buying Bitcoin and I live on Bitcoin. So for me, it's like, okay, you know, like I'm okay, you know, send this thing to the fucking moon. I get it. But at the same time, right? There's a bunch of people who are just learning about it. And of course, there's that whole, you know, the whole meme, you know, you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. I don't necessarily agree with that one. You get what you get. Okay. And you get Bitcoin when you get it. It's not about what you deserve and what you don't deserve or any of that stuff. It's just, you get what you get. But yeah, I don't, you know, the whole thing about you're not going to get as much volatility. Is that supposed to make us feel better that paper Bitcoin, I believe, kind of dampened this bull run and may be responsible for the entire year of flatness that we've had. You know, so anyways, some stuff to think about. Hey guys, I really appreciate all the super nice comments. I really do. Thank you so much. Here, I'll post them up here. Appreciate your honesty. Hey, thank you, and awesome energy. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I know Humble and Ulrich also appreciate it. And we are, for our New Year's episode, guys, that's right, because on Monday, right, we're going to be doing our Bitcoin Tonight episode, and it's going to be our New Year's episode. So it's going to be, we're not going to have any, like, you know, Bitcoin type of topics, so to speak. It's going to be like a year in review. So hopefully you guys come and join us. It's going to be a lot of chatting, you know, back and forth and all that good stuff. Hey, French Hodl, thank you so much. Just wanted to join. Thank you for the shows and the content. Hey, look at that. I only watch 3 shows these days. Rabbit Hole Recap, This Week in Bitcoin, and ours. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to 2026. I feel like 2025, we got freaking robbed. It's like a partial robbery. Anyways, it's okay. It's okay. Hey, BTC Moon Guy. Well, you guys are going to make me blush. I'm getting all warm here. Anyways, I hope you have an awesome Christmas. Thank you. Yes, I'm super excited. Super excited. We redid the living room. I'm excited to sit on the couch. I'm really good at sitting on the couch. If I could only get paid for sitting on the couch, that would be amazing. Did you find our Christmas special was that angry? Maybe it was. So hold on a second. I had alcohol. So it's Rhino Bitcoin. You might be right. It should not be angry. Okay, we're gonna flip it around. Okay, we're gonna flip it around. It's gonna be as positive vibes as possible. I promise. Now I'm thinking about that promise. I'm like, can I keep that promise? Like, what is the likelihood of that promise being kept? Anyways, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. But I appreciate all you guys. All right, let's continue. All right, so here we go. Let's dive into some a little bit more Hopium, right? Some adoption Hopium. Got a nice interactive chart from Wicked. You may not like all of his takes, but guess what? You got to respect all the charts because he does excellent visualizations, and I appreciate that. So look who's leading the way in Bitcoin as medium of exchange, and the rest of the world isn't too far behind. Yeah, I have to leave it muted because the music is, in this particular case, it's just the music is super annoying. Super duper annoying. But you can start to see how the map fills out. Look at all of that medium of exchange going on, guys. That is pretty crazy. So in the end, right? Like the last number, it's essentially in I hope I pronounce it right. I apologize if I don't. Caracua, which is, I believe, the Caribbean, also destroyed the pronunciation there. I mean, 69 merchants per 100K merchants, right? So for every 100,000 merchants, there's about 69 point something, 69.25. There was a whole lot less when we first started. So I'll take it. I will take the Hopium. I am pleased with this. This is, to me, like, look, this is good. And considering the fact, if you really zoom out, the majority of the messaging around Bitcoin is all about the paper Bitcoin products. It's all about the institutions and how we're supposed to be glorified because they're going to pump our bags, guys, right? These guys, that's what they're going to do. So forget about adoption. Forget about Bitcoin, the network, or the token, or your fucking privacy. Forget about all those things, right? There's this bag pumping that can happen. That's the most important thing. And it's amazing that even through all of that bag pumping noise, people are still choosing to actually learn how to use Bitcoin. So good. I'm happy for the hodlers. I'm happy for us. Because if we don't do it, nobody else will. It's, like once you get into the TradFi bros, they don't care about Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, right? For them, like this is just it's a waste of time. Anyways, Hong Kong plans to allow insurers to hold Bitcoin and crypto on their balance sheets. Indeed. Let's dive into this one. So the Hong Kong Insurance Authority is proposing new rules that would channel insurance capital into digital assets, including, here we go, guys. What was hold on, let me go back, take a look. Bitcoin, right? Yeah, of course. It's always Bitcoin. Including cryptocurrencies and stable coins. You're saying, oh, Phil, come on. They said cryptocurrencies. It's not just stable coins. Yeah, it's not just stable coins, but you know how it works, right? Rules for thee and not for me. Under the proposal, crypto assets would carry a 100% risk charge, requiring insurers to set aside capital reserves equivalent to the value of any crypto investments. So that's interesting. So you hold the tokens, and then at the same time, chances are they're going to have to hold some type of a treasury bill, right? They're going to have to hold something. That's going to be interesting. The charge may appear restrictive, but industry observers note it represents regulatory approval rather than a ban. That's right, guys. You're going to take it and you're going to like it. Stable coin. No way. Stable coins would receive more favorable treatment. Fuck out of here. No way. No way. The thing that works for the government is going to get more favorable treatment, you say? Tell me more. So the risk charge is based on the fiat currency to which they are pegged. This makes stablecoins more capital efficient than volatile cryptocurrencies. This is when you read this crap, right? Like, so somehow, right? Somehow Bitcoin is going to be more volatile than a currency that constantly loses its purchasing power that's propped up by the violence of the state. And and people sit there and think like the government's on your side. Like, who the hell thinks like that? I don't know, guys. Just sounds like another stable coin charade to me. Tell you that much. That's what it sounds like to me. More stable coin charades. All right. Anyways, Central Bank of Russia introduces proposal to regulate Bitcoin and crypto for both qualified and unqualified investors. Yeah, let's go take a look at that one. The concept submitted to the government, both qualified and non-qualified investors would be allowed to buy cryptocurrencies, though under sharply different conditions. Of course, right? Non-qualified investors would be limited to purchasing a defined list of the most liquid cryptocurrencies after passing a mandatory knowledge test. Didn't we see this mandatory knowledge test in the UK? I feel like we saw that 3 years ago or something like that. Where if you signed up to an exchange, you actually had to pass this like little quiz. Like that matters. Yes, I've passed this quiz. Now scam me. Their annual purchases would be capped at 300,000 rubles or about $3,800 through a single intermediary. $3,800 a year? That is weak. That is weak. That's for unqualified investors, though, guys. That's if you're that's if you're one of the poors. If you're not a poor, qualified investors, meanwhile, would be allowed to buy any cryptocurrency except so-called anonymous tokens that conceal transaction data. They would not face volume limits, but would still be required to pass testing to demonstrate and understand the risks involved. So yeah, that's great. Whether you're rich or poor, you're still gonna have to do the test to get scammed first. It's good. It's good stuff. I appreciate that. If adopted, the new rules would allow crypto transactions to take place through existing licensed infrastructure. So no surprise there, right? Hey, we appreciate all your financial activity. Come and join us behind the gate where we control the moat. That's all there is to it. There is nothing new under the sun. We know it. We know it. All right, guys. So for some noobs, right? There's some noobs, I think, to this channel. Bet you didn't know that you could use Bitcoin on a cheap non-smartphone with no internet, right? Take a quick look at the little video. This is the Manchakura product. It's been out for a while. It has been out for a while. Something that doesn't get talked about too much because in all fairness, it really, let me rephrase that. It doesn't get talked too much about in the Western world, but definitely, right? Definitely in the Southern Hemisphere, this is something that is very useful, especially when you're dealing with locations that have extremely limited technologies available, limited communications. But yeah, here, let's go pull up their website, guys, because, this thing is pretty cool. This thing is actually very, very cool. Right? You can use Bitcoin on any phone, right? Manchakura allows you to send and receive sats directly to your phone number. Hey, there you go. Live in 9 countries and counting. It's pretty good. Hey, look at that. You could use it on WhatsApp, right? Obviously use it as a web app. There you go. Gives you all the instructions, how to receive Bitcoin with it and everything. And look, you can use Azteco vouchers. You can redeem Azteco vouchers with this. So yeah, old news. This stuff came out several years ago, but I feel like there's so much that happens in Bitcoin that it's just tough to always keep up with it. When I saw that video a couple of days ago, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, Manchakura. Like this was huge back in like 2018, 2019, and this is kind of part of it, right? Is that back in like 2017, even 2016, but essentially before the 2020s, there was like way more discussion about Bitcoin not being used on traditional rails, right? Not, like using more primitive technology in order to be able to use Bitcoin so that it can be more fault tolerant and more resilient. But I don't mean Bitcoin being more fault tolerant and resilient. I'm talking about being able to send and receive Bitcoin. Being more fault tolerant and resistant by having all these different methods. But yeah, that's exactly where we're at. I think it's a super cool product. And yes, that's gonna do it for us for today's live episode, guys. Yeah, hey, that is absolutely right. Only Bitcoin. BTC is actually much better suited for the global south. Folks here in the first world won't get it until, I don't disagree with you on that. And it's a shame because, of course, many a shitcoin scammer have figured out that one of the best things you can do is try to grift the global south with tokens. And it's always the argument that I've seen it time and time again. Bitcoin's too expensive. In the global south for whatever reason, right? This is the shitcoiner narrative that gets pushed over there is that, oh, you can't use Bitcoin here. It's just way too expensive, right? You need this other token. And it's interesting because having spoken to a few Bitcoin advocates from the global south, they don't seem to have a problem using Bitcoin at all. And they don't find it too expensive at all. Interestingly enough, I know this sounds crazy, but the fact that Bitcoin stores purchasing power the way that it does across time and space, it makes it so that it's worth it for them to use Bitcoin, obviously. So this is it's complete nonsense. The global south needs some type of shitcoin. They don't need a shitcoin, okay? Nobody ever actually needs the shitcoin, okay? And if you're going to have a shitcoin, it may as well be some government shitcoin. It may as well be some government stable coin. We're used to getting rugged by the government. Anyways, so guys, tomorrow, Merry Christmas. Enjoy the time. Make the memories with your families. I know I am going to be taking it easy. I'm going to be enjoying time with my family. And as you can imagine, I will not be doing a daily live news episode tomorrow, and I think that's okay. But I will be back. I will be back Friday, 12:10 p.m. Eastern Time to discuss all the fun stuff. Because as you can imagine, it never stops. The news never stops, even if we stop. So yeah, I'll be back. Lots of drama, lots of fun. And like I said, next Monday, Bitcoin Tonight. We're going to be doing it again, and it's going to be our whole annual recap. All right, guys. Have a great rest of the day. Happy times. Merry Christmas Eve and Merry Christmas to all of you. Take it easy, guys. Catch you on the next one.